මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කටයුතු කිරීමේදී නැවත මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් හිතලා බලන්න කියලා.
Is State Minister Ajit Nivard Cabral going to resign from his ministry and give up his parliamentary seat? Myanmar's shadow government launches People's Defensive War and calls on all citizens to revolt against the rule of the military terrorists in every corner of the country.
And now your story is in detail. In your top story this afternoon, Dr. Anand Vijayvikrama has resigned from the Advisory Committee on Communicable Diseases. The Ministry of Health, making this announcement, further said they have requested Dr. Vijayvikrama to rethink his decision.
Dr. Anand Vijayvikrama is an intellectual who was committed to eradicate the COVID-19 pandemic in the country since its initial stages. He is a consultant physician at the National Institute of Infectious Diseases and is regarded as an expert on infectious diseases in the country. The Advisory Committee on Communicable Diseases has been instrumental in taking pivotal decisions regarding the COVID-19 vaccination drive in the country.
We have to respect his decision with regard to this matter. However, we know that he has worked tirelessly to the benefit of the patients who have been admitted to the IDH hospital, as well as he has given a valuable advice to the Ministry of Health from the beginning, even well prior to the beginning of this pandemic. We were working together, and he was instrumental in developing the IDH hospital to cater any type of new or emerging diseases, communicable diseases. Therefore, we have to appreciate his services and his knowledge and the experience in controlling the COVID pandemic, and I would like to request to rethink about his decision and join us with this situation.
I believe that if that is the case, this decision taken by him will draw the attention of the authorities. If such a situation has arisen, I believe it is important to act in the correct manner and to take the opinion of the experts. It is our responsibility to rectify this. I don't think the Ministry of Health is of the opinion that this can be done without his support.
එවැනි තත්වයකට යන්න තරම් සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශය මං හිතන්නේ ඒ තරමට අපි මෙයා වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා.
Army Commander General Shavendra Silva says more than 9.4 million people in Sri Lanka have now been vaccinated with both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine under the vaccination drive of the country.
As of now, 27.2 million vaccines have been brought down to the country. At present, 9,414,851 people have received both doses. We carried out the vaccination drive targeting the population above the age of 30. We have now begun administering the vaccine to people aged between 20 and 29.
The vaccination drive was underway at 380 vaccination centres across the country today as well.
There are some areas where there are people who have not yet received a vaccine as of yet. Therefore, I would like to ask you whether you will take steps to vaccinate the people who are in those areas. We have calculated the population in various areas in the country based on a consensus that was done in 2012. There have been a difference of 3,000 in some areas. We have taken steps to rectify that mistake. We will be able to vaccinate everyone above the age of 30 in those areas by next Sunday. It is good if you can administer the Pfizer vaccine to students who are migrating for their higher studies. We saw people have criticized government's move to administer Pfizer vaccine only in the Hambantota district. But it is decided upon criteria. Sometimes the donor country decides the area that the vaccine must be distributed to.
මුළු ලංකාවටම බලපාන පරිදි තරුණයන්ට යම් අවස්ථාවක් ලබා දෙන්න හැකියාව තියෙනවද කියන කාරණේ සහ අවධානය යොමු කරන්න කියන කාරණේ ඔබතුමාට මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි. අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව තමයි
තව සති 6ක වගේ කාලෙකින් අවුරුදු 20ට වැඩි.
Our target is to vaccinate all citizens above the age of 20 in another 6 weeks of time. I do not think the type of the vaccine given to the younger group should be a concern. Tests have revealed that the younger generation is well protected after receiving any vaccine. According to the schedule Pfizer gave us, we receive 100,000 vaccines per week. However, we will import a higher number of vaccines from October onwards. About 4 million will be made available for us in October. People who wish to migrate for employment and for higher studies are willing to receive the Pfizer vaccine. We will be able to prioritize that group if we get a higher number of doses.
තියෙනවා Pfizer එන්නත ලබා ගන්න විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ විදේශගත වෙන රැකියාව සඳහා බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් ඉන්න අය. ඉතින් ඔවුන්ට විශේෂ ප්‍රමුඛතාවක් ලබා දෙන්න අපිට පුළුවන්කම ලැබෙයි. ඉහළ ප්‍රමාණයක් Pfizer එන්නත් අපිට ලබන මාසෙ ලැබීමත් සමග.
Cuba became the first country in the world to vaccinate children from the age of 2 against COVID-19 using homegrown jabs not recognized by the World Health Organization. Having completed clinical trials on minors with its Abdallah and Soberana vaccines, Cuba kicked off its inoculation campaign for children on Friday, starting with those 12 and older. The communist island of 11.2 million people aims to inoculate all its children before reopening schools that have been closed for the most part since March last year. It started distributing jabs in the 2 to 11 age group yesterday in the country's central province. Countries such as China, the United Arab Emirates and Venezuela have announced they plan to vaccinate younger children, but Cuba is the first to do so. In more local news, questions were raised regarding the teachers' and principals' salary anomalies at the media briefing on cabinet decisions held today.
We all know that there will be an increase in the basic salaries from 17 to 26% for the different layers of the teachers as well as principals. We saw that different groups have made this request. We saw that a request was made to provide this once again. However, amidst the current financial situation, the Minister of Education has stated it will be possible to provide it on 3 occasions. The government is continuing to take action regarding this. The Minister of Finance will present the relevant proposal and the budget for the year 2022 to Parliament in November. Until then, it was also proposed to provide an allowance of 5,000 rupees per month as an interim allowance, as a relief for the service they have provided, especially the online teaching services. They will receive it with their monthly salary this month. The government is taking the steps to the best of their ability, considering the inconveniences that the teachers of this country are facing. We believe that the teachers and principals will accept this proposal and report back to work.
ගුරු මෑණිවරුන් පියවරුන් විදුහල්පතිවරුන් එම යෝජනා පිළිගෙන නැවත සේවයට වාර්තා කරයි කියලා අපි සෑම කෙනෙක් විශ්වාස කරනවා.
The Education Employees Union affiliated to the Samagi Jana Balawega convened a media briefing today. The government is trying to demonize the teachers of this country who are respected as deity in this country. This is the biggest injustice carried out against the teachers. This is a grave mistake carried out against the teachers as well as the students. We did not ask for a 5,000 rupee allowance for the teachers. As the Samagi Education Employees Union, we say we do not want that allowance. Use it to help the COVID-19 patients in the country. Provide the justice that is long overdue to the teachers and principals of this country and their salary anomalies. What we are asking is for a proper solution. Even Ajit Niwad Kabral is asking for a pension. He was at the central bank. He is asking for a pension as well. The teachers also have the same problems. They also feel the same hunger. The teachers' unions have rejected the solutions provided by the ministerial subcommittees. The government has not been able to show the country a definite timeline as to when these will happen. Do not try the same tricks that Vimal Weerawansa tried in the past. Do not try to deceive the teachers the same way.
A heated situation arose this morning at the Hikkadua Pradeshiya Sabha when an opposition member highlighted the shortage of essential food items, including milk powder and sugar. The situation arose when the ruling party members went to respond to the protest staged by member of the opposition Anuradha Lal by displaying placards at the Pradeshiya Sabha. For more local news, we are now joined by Chaturanga Hapawarachi from the newsroom. Chaturanga,
yes,
over to you.
Mariam, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our viewers. Several key factors were discussed at the cabinet media briefing earlier in the morning, and I'm going to give you an update of what happened there. One of the key factors that were discussed there is the resignation or the possible resignation of State Minister of Money and Capital Markets, Ajit Niwad Cabral. Now, before we go into the cabinet media briefing and to check what happened there, let me draw your attention to what happened this morning in Parliament also with regard to the same topic. There were questions that were raised in Parliament whether State Minister of Money and Capital Markets, Ajit Niwad Cabral, is going to in fact resign. This is what happened in Parliament.
ගරු අජිත් නිවාඩ් කබ්‍රාල් මැතිතුමා මේ ඔබතුමාගෙන් අහන්නේ අපි දැක්කද පත්තර කිහිපයක තියෙනවා ඔබතුමා ඇමතිකමනුත් මන්ත්‍රීකමනුත් අස් වෙනවා කියලා ලොකු රාවයක් යනවා අතරේ තියෙනවා ඔබතුමා වෙනත් උසස් තනතුරක් ගැනත් කතා වෙනවා අපිට පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්න පුළුවන්ද ගරු සභාවට ඔබතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් අස් වෙනවා අදාළ නැති ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි අදාළ නැහැ ගරු මැතිතුමා නෑ
Now, when the opposition questioned whether the minister was going to resign, there was no clear answer that was provided. That was, in fact, Nalin Bandara of the Samangi Jana Balawege quoting paper articles or news reports earlier on the day, asking whether he was going to resign. There was no clear answer there. And the same question was raised at the cabinet media briefing when Dr. Ramesh Patirana was there at the cabinet media briefing. This is what happened at the cabinet media briefing.
අජිත් නිවාඩ් කබ්‍රාල් මැතිතුමා තමන්ගේ අමාත්‍ය ධූරයෙන් සහ තමන්ගේ මේ ජාතික ලයිස්තු පාර්ලිමේන්තු ධූරයෙන් ඉල්ලා අස්වීමට සූදානම් රජයෙන් ආරාධනාවක් කරලා තියෙනවා ඔහුට ආයේ මේ මහ බැංකුව අධිපති ධූරය බාර ගන්න කියලා ලංකාදීප පත්තර වාර්තා කරලා තියෙනවා. ඇත්තද මැතිතුමා මේක?
ලවෂෙන් ස්ථිර වෙලා නැහැ ඉන්සයිකට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කියන්න තිබෙන්නේ පමණයි.
So what was being said is that there was no clear answer on that again from both these instances, from Parliament as well as the cabinet media briefing. Now, several more important factors came out at the cabinet media briefing today. Journalists raised questions from the joint cabinet media spokesperson regarding the data wipe that happened at the NMRA. They pointed out facts that the same company that was involved in this particular NMRA data cloud, the government cloud, is also taking a look or in charge of the EPF and ETF, and whether if something goes wrong with the EPF and ETF as well, whether there are any mechanisms underway to seek compensation from this particular company. And there was also questions raised from the cabinet media spokesperson regarding the fact that there has been some contradictory statements whether new data pertaining to medicine and medical equipment when it's being registered at the NMRA are being done manually, or whether there is a system in place, an automated system in place for it to be done. And the minister said that this should be the dates or the schedule in terms of when this will be done has to be raised with the NMRA itself, and we do not know again whether this has been done. However, the minister noted that in particular instances, especially with regard to registering medical and medicine, regarding medical items and medicine about COVID-19, that process will be carried out in a separate manner. Thirdly, there was more information that came out from the cabinet media briefing. The Minister of Agriculture, Mahindanand Alutgamage, was also at the cabinet media briefing earlier on. He said that the government has taken two decisions to encourage local farmers. He said the first is to focus attention to increase liquid milk production locally. For this purpose, it is planned to take over the unused lands already owned by the National Livestock Development Board and develop them as dairy farms. These lands are expected to be handed over on lease. The minister also said a tax of 40 rupees has been added on imported big onions in order to strengthen the local onion farmers. So these are few of the main points that were raised at the cabinet media briefing this morning. I wanted to keep our viewers updated about the situation. Mariam will take us through the international news shortly.
Thank you, Chaturanga, for that comprehensive update. Now, for details of these stories and much more, you can log on to our website, which is www.newsfirst.lk. Up next is international news. In another headline-making story from overseas, Myanmar's shadow government has declared a people's defensive war against the country's military, which seized power in a coup on the 1st of February.
The acting president of the National Union
With that, we wrap up this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya. Thank you for watching. A very good day to you and take care.